We know that human tendencies are universal, that they drive humans' development and their ability to meet their fundamental needs, whether they lived long ago or they live now, whether they live right here in Washington, D.C., or somewhere else in the world. These tendencies Montessori saw in action in humans are present throughout our lives, and they're universal. Now, there's no definitive list of human tendencies. Montessori refers to a variety of things as tendencies in her writings, and the definitive list doesn't matter. You might hear different tendencies from different scholars of Montessori education, but we're going to highlight some important tendencies to consider as we're working with elementary children. And today we'll talk about three that work kind of closely together: the tendency for exploration, for orientation, and for order. So let's think a little bit about early humans. So early humans had a lot of really basic fundamental needs they needed to meet, right? They needed to figure out a way to feed themselves and clothe themselves and build some sort of shelter or protection. And so one way that humans work to meet these fundamental needs was through exploration. They were really driven to go and explore, to look beyond their immediate surroundings and look into a new unknown place because they had to meet those fundamental needs. We still see this tendency in humans today, even though a lot of us don't have the same need to explore to meet a fundamental need. But we still see in young children, that exploration, right? Imagine that young child, that 2-year-old. What's the first thing they often do in a new space, especially an inviting space? They go and look and see what they can find. They're so interested in the world around them. They're driven to explore and take in through all of their senses. Elementary children explore as well. They'll explore physically, certainly, but also they're capable of new types of exploration as their mind is changing around the age of 6. And they start to be able to explore through their imaginations and their reasoning minds. They can go into the past by reading or hearing stories and applying their imagination to things. So we can see that we have to think about how we respond to this tendency for exploration in the elementary. Well, we offer everything in the universe, right? We offer all of that to the children. Now, along with exploration is another tendency, orientation. So let's go back to that early human again, those early humans who are exploring to meet their needs. And as they explored, they needed to have another tendency firing to assist their survival. They needed to be able to explore and get back home again. They needed to be able to remember where the best berries were, or a really good fishing hole was, or whatever other need they had. And so we can see in humans, early humans and throughout history, this tendency to orient, to be able to create a mental map even of where I've been and how I get back using landmarks or other things. And we certainly see throughout history that orientation has been a really important part as humans have created maps and connections to things. Young children are orienting to their home and family life and then to the classroom. And we'll see this as they start to absorb the rhythm of a routine. Routines are important, that children can rely on this. So this young child that's absorbing everything, that's a lot. That's a lot for a mind to take in. So being able to orient them to some expectations and routines really supports the young child's development as they're taking all of the world in. Elementary children orient similarly to even adults, where they walk into a new environment and they start to sort of categorize it and organize it, build that mental map. And I'm sure you've seen this happen when they walk into a classroom or a new place. The other part of orientation that's really important for elementary children is not just physical orientation, but that intellectual knowledge orientation in their minds. And we really support this when we tell some great stories to orient them to the universe when they enter our elementary classrooms. And finally, another tendency that works closely with exploration and orientation is that of order. So think of these early humans that are exploring and orienting all the time to meet their fundamental needs. They also needed to order themselves and order their environment to be able to remember the things that they found, or to support that exploration and orientation. We can see that humans throughout history have really needed to order the things around them. They may have made maps or classified their knowledge. This is out of that tendency to order, and that has been important for humans throughout their existence. This tendency to order is particularly strong in young children under the age of 6. Again, they're absorbing everything. And as they absorb everything, it's important for them to have a lot of external order in their environment so that they can take in everything about their surroundings. Young children are really trying to classify everything that they take in. And so it's important that we keep an orderly environment to help with that classification. Okay, yes, this is where the pillow is, and this is where my pouring activity is. And that consistency is important, that external order for the young child. This physical order is less important for elementary children. In fact, they, left to their own devices, might create quite a mess in their environment. But we can still expect them to maintain that physical order. They're certainly capable of it. And we also focus on the order that's really driving them at this time, and that's their need to order their intellectual life. They're taking in so much knowledge, and we need to help them organize and classify that knowledge. So we provide a variety of ways that they can fulfill this tendency toward order in their acquisition of all the knowledge they want to know in the universe. As you can see, these three tendencies kind of work together and have throughout human history, and they continue in all of us even as adults today. And so when we're working with children in the elementary, we just really want to watch to see when we see these tendencies really in action and decide how and if we need to respond to them.